one of the biggest advantages of composable architecture, it is actually built for change. So the value that it is unlocking is ability to actually experiment with new technologies, replace them in a relatively simple way without making, a huge reinvestment.
What are the biggest differences between monolithic and composable architectures for e-commerce merchants?
So, from a very simple perspective, monolith means that your backend, front end, and everything else is connected together and it's in one code base. Composable simply means that you are able to build your architecture with many different components that are separate from each other, and you can develop them in an independent way, right? So that would be like my definition that I believe business people should be able to understand in a very simple words. And I guess Philip can give more of a technical details on that.
Well, like I also like to think about it this way, or also like from the value perspective, like when you were going into the internet, as they used to say. So when you wanted to start an e-commerce business, like the only important decision that you were making at like 5-6 years ago was my e-commerce platform, because the e-commerce platform was the main value driver. It was literally doing anything like front end, as you said, customer experience. It's an e-commerce platform.
Yes.
When you wanted to integrate a third party, you were integrating it into e-commerce platform, like business logic, database, everything was an e-commerce platform. Right now, this big box is basically split into smaller boxes. So the whole stack, the value of this e-commerce platform is split into smaller boxes. And your goal is really to choose which boxes you need for your particular stack, which is great because first of all, because we have such a variety of search vendors, CMS vendors, e-commerce vendors, like all of the tiny boxes with its value, it has so many options that you can really tailor everything specifically to your needs, not only for the customer experience, but also for the back office.
Yeah.
So your internal processes. And that's one of the biggest benefits of Composable. But I would say there is another one that maybe is even more important. Like the trends, they come and go. So, we had Monolith, we had Headless, we have Composable right now. We also had, hyper personalization. Right now we have AI. Who knows what we will have in a year from now? So one of the biggest advantages of composable architecture, it is actually built for change. So the value that it is unlocking is ability to actually experiment with new technologies, replace them in a relatively simple way without making a huge reinvestments. Like it is built for the architectures that are not set in stone but are evolving, and you can do this if you implement this right. You can do this relatively cheap.